Normally what we do when it comes to tabletop RPGs is we go, and if it's a live session, we sit down, we bring snacks and all the rest of this stuff. Everybody gathers around the table, they got all of their gear and they're ready to go. So one of the last things that we actually think about is our health. And there's many facets when playing a tabletop RPG that actually we probably should be thinking about health-wise. Today, I'm gonna come at this from a different perspective. I'm gonna come at playing tabletop RPGs and how to do it in a healthy way. Now, I know that this is different for a lot of you, especially if you're just new to the channel and you don't know who I am. Well, first, let me introduce myself. I'm Servant of Shiloh, and the place that you have come to is RPG Elite. This is the place where I focus on putting the RP back into RPG. And how I do this is by giving you tools, tips, tutorials, and real talk, which is what we're gonna have today about the tabletop RPG space and culture. So this is a different type of video today. And it's one where actually, if you sit down and just think about it for a second, it's not, mind-blowing stuff, but it will help you have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. So let's take a look on how to take care of our health as we're playing tabletop RPGs. Let's get to it and roll 'em. So one of the things we really need to do at the table is eat better. The staple food at a tabletop RPG session is not good food. You got your soda, you got your chips, you got your pizza. I mean, those are kind of like staples. Well, that can affect our performance at the table. It can also affect our whole experience while we're at the table. Those kind of carbs, those bad carbs like that, they create brain fog. As time goes on and you're eating more and more of this stuff throughout the session, and you're talking 4 to 6 hours at a stretch, and you're eating more and more of this, it will create that brain fog, that drowsiness, right? It makes you drowsy, it makes you tired. Well, you don't want that. I mean, you want to be alert, you want to be creative, and you want to be imaginative during the whole session. You want to get the most bang for your buck as you're investing all of this time into the session. So what I suggest is for you to eat different food that is actually brain food, what they call it. So what are those? Well, I'll just give you a couple of examples. One is berries, just about any berry that you can think of. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. But blueberries are the best out of all of those. Really good brain food. Another one is nuts. And the best nut would be walnuts. They just tend to do better for that brain acuity. And also you have things like pumpkin seeds and even broccoli. So let's say you bring some broccoli with some dip, because I do that. I eat broccoli raw. Now, maybe some of y'all don't like that, but I eat broccoli raw, sticking in some dip and going about your business. That's brain food. It actually combats any brain fog to get the most out of the session, to make sure that you are up to snuff for the whole session. Long session, 4 hours is a long time to be at a table, let alone 6, right? Eat some different food, a food that's going to help keep us alert during the session. And if it does that, then of course, the overall session will be better, or as I like to say, more immersive and enjoyable. When you're sitting down at tabletop RPG sessions, just like I just mentioned, it's for long stretches of time, 4 to 6 hours at a stretch. Okay, being sedentary for that long is not good. But one of the things that you could incorporate in your sessions, whether you're playing virtually or whether you're playing in person, you can do this either or, is just stand up in the middle of the session. It doesn't mean you have to break the session. You really don't have to break the session. You can stand up every hour, half hour. They say every half hour, stand up and whatever. And maybe every hour and a half, you guys take an actual break when you actually walk around and you kind of get the blood circulating, and then you go back into it after a little 5-minute break. But you could stand up anytime during the session, every half hour or whatever. I got a watch, and this is a smartwatch, and this smartwatch lets me know when to move around. You can set that for every half an hour, and then you can just get up out of your chair, stand up for a few minutes, and not break the session, right? And just keep going. Now, obviously, this is not going to do anything in terms of breaking the flow of things if you're in a virtual environment. But if you're in a live environment, it really shouldn't either. It might be a little different for people because they might be wondering why you're standing. And so you can let them know real quick, and then you guys can just keep moving with the session. And that is good for just overall health. Being sedentary and sitting down all the time is not a good thing. I have to be at the computer all the time. And so again, I use my watch to let me know when to get up, when to walk around. I go walking with my dog. I try to get in so many steps throughout the day, but I also have to make sure I'm not sitting down for long periods of time. And the tabletop RPG session, that is what you do. So instead of doing that, stand up like I said, every half hour or an hour. Stand up for a few minutes. If you're in a virtual session, I mean, if you can get one, get a standing desk and, just stand during the session, or, lift it up. You have those desks that kind of lift up like this, and you can stand up for a few minutes and then you can sit back down. But just don't sit for the whole session, because that is not healthy for you. It really many times leads to bad posture, and it also leads to circulation issues in your legs. By standing up and just continue on, you don't have to do anything special, just continue on. And then maybe, like I said, every hour or so, take a 5-minute break, or every hour and a half. You're gonna find that you will be more alert. This will be healthier for you overall. You will feel better physically. And that's what you want, because you wanna up your game and up the experience. And all these little tweaks that I'm talking about do just that. So you're getting ready to go into a tabletop RPG session. You know what time that you have to do this. You guys normally set that all up. But then make sure you get enough sleep the night before. You don't want to, in the middle of the session, be, kind of like zoning out because you didn't get enough sleep. So make sure you get the amount of sleep that you need in order to be mentally alert during the session. Don't have people asking you questions over and over again and seeing if you're alive over there. Hey, what's going on? Hey, right? Get enough sleep the night before and add all the other elements that I've just talked about too. And you're going to find that physically you're going to be in a better position, and it'll just feel better to play the game. How we look at things in our lives matters. It's kind of like, do you look at the glass half empty, or do you look at it half full? And in context, which one would be more appropriate? Well, perspective in approaching tabletop RPGs matter as well. I've heard many people say that, oh, well, tabletop RPGs, they're an escape. Okay, they shouldn't be an escape. They really shouldn't be an escape. The change of perspective here is needed in order for your mental health to be affected in a positive way. So instead of saying you're trying to escape, which means you're trying to run from something, which means that something is always lurking there trying to, quote, get you, and in this case, it would be life. Instead of doing that, shift your perspective. Don't call it an escape, call it a vacation. Say that you're taking a mental vacation. You're going into another world, you're relaxing, you're having fun, and you are just taking a mental break from life. That way you can be refreshed and you can be renewed. That's what vacations are for refreshing and renewal. But if you're always escaping, then you're always in this kind of fight or flight mode, and you always want to go back to escape to where you escaped to the first time. You're always going to go back there. But if you're on a vacation, when you go back, you're ready to deal with those things mentally. Mentally, you're ready because you've taken a break. You've chilled out. And that's what we need. And it's just a slight shift in perspective mentally for your mental health. Instead of saying escape, because escape is not mentally healthy for you. Because escape always has that lurking fear behind it. That's not good for you mentally. But a vacation, oh, that's good for you mentally. And so shift your perspective on that. And trust me, that little thing, you might not think it's a big deal. It's a big deal. That little thing right there will change not only your perspective in a tabletop RPG, it'll change your perspective really in life. Now for this section, I have to add a preface to it to explain some things before I actually get into it. I'm talking about the spiritual side of things when it comes to playing tabletop RPGs. The first thing that I need to say off the rip is that I am not talking to people who are not spiritual. I am not talking to people who don't believe that we have a spirit, nor do we have a soul. This section wouldn't be for you. And I wouldn't be talking to you. This is only for people who understand and have that sensitivity, even on a basic level. If you don't believe that, then this is not for you. And that normally means that those individuals who are godless, this probably is not going to be for you. And I'm not saying that as a dig. I'm saying that these are normally people who are godless, who do not look at life in a spiritual sense. And so you'd have no frame of reference in order to relate. Now, if you are curious as to why I look at it like this, and many others do, then feel free to watch this section. I am not telling you that this is what you need to do, because I'm not telling you that at all. You can't. You don't have any frame of reference. Now, again, I'm going to add a specific here. And the specific is that the worldview that I'm coming from, and the view that I'm coming from, is from a Judeo-Christian Protestant worldview. All right. So you don't get it that, I'm just speaking for everybody in the tabletop RPG community. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you from this perspective over here, how we look at this particular thing. Now, there are elements in tabletop RPGs, and some, not all, in some tabletop RPGs that are not good for your soul. There are more than a handful, right? But they call things that are evil good and good evil. And they encourage us to embrace the dark elements of ourselves. Now, some people will be like, well, that's just being cathartic, or they come off with, well, it's just a game. But see, from this worldview, it's not, those elements are not just a game. That's real deal stuff that we shouldn't be messing with. And it messes with the soul. Have you ever heard of actors who have to do like an evil character and it messes with them? Well, it's not just messing with them mentally, it's messing with their souls. That's what I'm talking about. And so they even have to pull back and understand and not even go there, and don't deal with those things because they're not healthy for your spirit. Now, of course, again, I'm going to say it again, if you are godless, then this is not for you, because you wouldn't believe these things. I'm just saying this for those who are not in that boat, but have at least an inkling and understanding spiritually. Now, listen, there's games that I just won't play, ever. And I'm not going to sit here and list all the games that I don't play. No, I'm not going to do that. It is on a case-by-case basis, and I look at the elements within a game, and I will say yay and nay based on a case-by-case basis. So the one thing that I don't do is throw all tabletop RPGs to the wolves, because that's silly. But I do discern on a case-by-case basis, because I understand that elements inside of some of these, they're not healthy. They're not spiritually healthy things. So we have to use discernment in order to know that, hey, do we really want to go here? Do we really want to mess with this? Is this stuff that we really should be messing with? Now, I take my worldview from the Bible and the things that we should be messing with on principle. There's other people who might be coming from another direction, but understand something. There have been people who have written me, and I never even mentioned this stuff. They've written me and they've said, You know, there's that game I won't touch, this game I won't play. And I respect them for it because they are using discernment for their spirit. It doesn't mean that you can't cover dark subjects. I mean, I go there, okay? And the reason why I go there is because of the storytelling power of tabletop RPGs. And it's part of my agenda. I gave you a big clue there. It's part of my agenda. So I go there, but there are games that I will not use for that because they go overboard and be messing with stuff they shouldn't be messing with and like I said, calling evil good and good evil, or like it's no big deal, and it is. Again, this is from a Judeo-Christian worldview, and I'm not going to get into all of the details because this is theological. So at the end of the day, if you have any kind of inkling that, man, I don't feel comfortable with that, don't play it. Do not play it. Never go against conscience, because once you start doing that, then you'll just fall for anything, because then you can't delineate anymore because you've killed it by allowing things that you knew you shouldn't have allowed to begin with. And then you fall for things that you shouldn't fall for. And this is not just for tabletop RPGs, this is life. Don't do it. Well, there you have it. 5 things that we can do for our physical, mental, and spiritual health when playing tabletop RPGs. And again, I know we don't think of this stuff. You know, we just come and we just play and whatever, but many times, maybe our experience is affected by not taking care of one of those things. Didn't get enough sleep the night before. You're eating bad carbs, and so in the middle of it, you're starting to get brain fog and you're starting to get drowsy in the middle of the thing, right? Your legs might be cramping up or whatever, or your knees might be, and you're uncomfortable. You know, all these things. Maybe there's some elements in the game that's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be messing with that. Or maybe mentally it's not enjoyable because you're looking at it as an escape and there's still this little lurking stress there. Let's not do that, man. We want to have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. So let's shift all that stuff a little bit. These are just small things. I know these are small things, but they're huge because they add not only to the quality of your tabletop RPG sessions. Listen, folks, they add to the quality of your life. Now, if you got any value out of this video at all, and you thinking maybe it was good enough, then go ahead and do me a solid and just crush that like button for me. Also, if you want to stick around, feel free to stick around, y'all. We've got like a lot of stuff that we're planning in the background and doing this, that, and the third. I'm digging it. So if you are enjoying this or you enjoyed this video, maybe maybe you think about something that you just never thought about before and you want more of this, then go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I come out with videos, God willing, be on Tuesdays and Fridays. Let's slide into the question of the vid today. I gave you 5 things that has to do with your health when it comes to playing tabletop RPGs today. And we cover kind of 3 spectrums: physical, mental, spiritual. I want you to give me 2. I'm going to give you multiple choice here. 2. Which 2 of these do you neglect the most? Let me know down in the comments. Let's get some engagement going on this. I am very interested because I kind of figure that I know at least one of them that a vast majority of you don't even think about at all. So, and some of it is probably not going to be applicable to you, right? So I probably need to add for those that are applicable to you. How's that? So for some of you, you'll be choosing from 5, and from some of you, you'll be choosing from 4. Give me 2. 2, y'all. Which 2 do you neglect the most? All right, that's going to be it for me. I'm done. Time to get out. Time to slide on out and do my snaggle puss.
So exit, stage left.
Hey, if you've got a game this week, then happy gaming, y'all. I pray you have an RPG Elite session. And until next time, God willing, your brother has got to get out of here and say, peace, 5,000 elites. I'm out.